An art journal tutorial by Creative Katie. That's me, Karen Burchill. It's entitled Persevere. Take time to hit the subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Check the option to get notified of upcoming videos. So here's a sneak peek of the finished page. Creative Katie, Karen Burchill. So I have a page that I have just kind of pre-gessoed, and what I've decided to do in my brand new mixed media Canson, what I've decided to do is I'm just taping off around the coils so that the paint and everything doesn't get into the coils. I've also decided that I'm only going to craft and create on this side. I'm going to skip this page. So what I've done is I've just laid a tape right there, and that way I can take this out of here. I can frame it if I choose to have a piece that I want to frame, or if I decide to coil it with like the Happy Planner Punch, I can do that. So I'm just kind of keeping my options open, and we'll see how that works out. So I'm giving this a layer of gesso. What I have here, since I've relocated, I've been collecting all my tags. And this is thanks to Marta, who collects all her tags. So I'm going to start with them to build texture. So these are sort of tags that I collected. I'm just going to arrange them. And I've been playing with this a little bit before, and I'd taken a picture on my phone just to remember how things went. And remember, you're not putting this on to get the print. You're putting this on to get texture, various texture that you can't get. And you're just using found articles for it. And I'm using some gesso. This is Liquitex Basics gesso. I don't like it. It's very thick. I know Marta always uses her heavy body gesso, so I thought this would be a good place to use it. So instead of using gel medium to adhere this or Mod Podge, I'm just using the gesso, which is something that I've learned from Marta's videos. Every time you place something upon something else and you turn it and it's not straight, you're going to create texture. So that one stamp that I put just on the right hand side, I kind of put it right in the middle. I wish I had layered it there. That was a mistake. But as I do more and more of this, I think I'll get better at it. Now, if you don't have tags, you can use cut pieces of paper, cut manila tag, different things along that line. And I'm applying the gesso fairly thickly. This is a stencil that I bought from Silhouette, a cut file, and I cut it out on some, I think, plastic from a duotang or something along those lines. And I'm just going to add more texture. My sole plan in doing this page was to use a certain color scheme. I'm kind of moving my way around the color circle, and to use the tags in that way and have a background with lots of texture. That's about as far as my plan went. I'm using flexible modeling paste here, and it's the Liquitex brand. Now I'm just going to put a layer of the Liquitex Basics gesso, and this is thinned down a little bit in this container, and it's still pretty thick. I just want to cover everything and have a nice even coat. And I also want, I don't want to see the print on the tags. I want the texture, but I don't really want some of that print to come and show through. Here you see all my acrylic basic paints and my color wheel. I use my color wheel a lot. So my previous page I used these colors in that color scheme. And I'm kind of planning on going around my color wheel. So I'm going to go along and pick these 5 colors. Now these 5 colors are called analogous colors. And when you use analogous colors, they will blend and they will work very well together. So it's kind of a way, surefire way to select colors that work together. So I'm just picking out the colors that I have. Now I could have used my craft paints as well. I just chose to use my Liquitex Basics here. And here's a sneak peek of the finished project with the color wheel showing the colors that work. So to apply the Liquitex Basics, I start with my fingers, then I use a baby wipe, and I kind of go back and forth between that. Initially, right after this, I get out the baby wipe and I want a thin layer, and you build layers. Now the thing to remember is if things are not working and not blending the way you like or want, stop, let it dry, and then come back to it. So I have a picture in my head of where I want this color scheme to go. It doesn't end up in the same place. It turns out a little bit more blue than I envisioned to begin with, although I do end up liking it. And be prepared for this to go through the ugly stage. There were numerous times as I'm doing this, I'm thinking, this is just not working. This is just not working. Just keep going and add thin layers. And it depends if the paint is more transparent or more opaque. I think a lot of the paints here, when I started looking, a lot of them were on the transparent side, and that is going to differ. I like how the little bit of the yellow is kind of peeking through. Now remember, at this point, I have no idea of what focal point's going on here at all. I want color, I want texture. That was my whole plan. Wasn't going to get the blue out, going to the 5th color on the color wheel in this analogous group, but I found that it needed it. So I'm just adding a little bit here and there, rubbing it. Sometimes giving fingerprints, going back and forth with the baby wipe, just till I'm happy with what I'm seeing. None of these colors, when mixed together, are going to make brown. Worst case scenario, the yellow and the blue are going to make green, which you're adding in there already. So it all kind of works. I'm rubbing it into the texture so it gets caught, be it the texture that the gessoed cards have or the gesso from the flexible modeling paste. I encourage you to go and play and paint with your fingers. It's a bit scary, I warn you. It always goes through that ugly stage. But the end result I always like. Sometimes if it's too bright, you can do a wash of gesso afterwards and then remove some of the gesso with the baby wipe. I didn't do that on this page, but I have done it in other pages where I've painted with my fingers. So I let it dry and I took a picture. I'm just coming back and adding a little bit more color here and there. Again, I can't explain why I'm putting what I'm putting where I'm putting it. It just looks good. to me. When you're doing your page, you're going to get maybe a very different look, but it's going to be something that appeals to you. And you can see how the layers have built up and you get more depth of color. There's a lot of blending and color mixing going on this page. And I really love the end result. So I'm using my Neocolor 2, the black, and I'm going around the edge of all the tags that I've put in there. I want them to stand out. I want to see that layered. I want to see draw attention to the texture. Now you could use your gelatos or your Inktense blocks, watercolor pencil, Stabilo oil pencil, or even a charcoal pencil, which I think is what Marta uses all the time. She always does such an awesome job of shading. And I decided to go around the page. Now remember, I don't have a plan for this page beyond the minute that I'm in right now. And that's okay. Some days, all you want to do is finish a background and do a background and save the focal point and the finishing for another day. So there's some metallic paint in here, but I'm going to add a little bit of the copper paint. Now the copper, I chose copper instead of gold here because I thought that it would really go well with the blues and the greens that are in there. It's just a little bit warmer than the gold. I'm just wanting to make this texture pop a little bit more, just with that little extra bit of shimmer. So I have the background and I've gone through some of my files and I'm just going to go over some of the possibilities that I have. So I like the sea turtle. This could be an ocean scene in the back. I just probably would cut that about there, maybe even cut that out. And it would kind of come in there. I like how the colors are working here. So often I'll take a picture of it and check with my camera how I like it, because sometimes, you know, you get that perspective just a little bit different. So you know, and it looks like it really belongs, and once you shade and stuff, that is a possibility. I don't know what I would put for inspiration or a quote on there, but I really like how that looks. Another one that I like was this blue jay in there. So again, I'm just going to take a picture of it and see what it looks like with that. So again, I might have to go on to Pinterest and Google what my quote would be. I have a couple other little birds that might go on there as well. So we'll see what kind of quote, because that's the missing piece. I could put, I've got some dragonflies here, and I like how the pink is kind of bringing out the bronze, but you know, I'm not really into the dragonfly right now. I also have these kind of could put that on, different combinations, but again, that isn't a plus. That I found, because it is Christmas season, I'm thinking I could have this And then I could have Christmas balls dangling down. So I'm going to take a picture of that as well and see. So I'm going to go and check out Pinterest and look at my pictures and decide where I'm going to go. Oh, I think I have another one. Sorry. What happened to him? I had a hummingbird that was in pieces. I like the pink, the bright pink in the midst of that, so I'm just going to take a picture of that one. So if you have several backgrounds, then you can spend your time going through your files, through your stash, and mix and matching and going on the different backgrounds, trying to find different focal points for different backgrounds, and your time is a little bit better spent. So if you're one of those people who just love creating backgrounds and then you're not very sure what to do, that's a good way of doing it. And I'll have several backgrounds and I'm kind of flipping, and you're looking and you're focused on just the focal part of things, and sometimes that makes it a lot easier. So I'm going to go and check Pinterest and check my pictures and see which one I really like. I'm going to give it some time. So when I got on Pinterest, I discovered that one of the symbolism or meanings of a turtle is perseverance. And that really touched something in me because of the health issues that I've been going through, and very much it has been slow and steady, and I really need to persevere and not give up. So I cut out the word persevere with my silhouette, and I used the font Fish Fingers that I downloaded from dafont.com. And this is on thin tag board, and it's manila tag, and it was blue because that's what I have. Now, of course, when I put the yellow on it, it kind of had a greenish tone. So, and the yellow here, as I noticed when I looked at the back, is a transparent color, or more transparent. So I did end up putting another yellow on, and then I came back and I put gold on just to get the color that I wanted. So I think that's something that I might start paying a little bit more attention to, is looking at the backs of the paints and getting an idea for coverage about the transparent paint and the opaque paints, and noticing what happens. So here you see me putting the gold on. And I really wanted this to match the yellow in the middle that I used in the background, which is why I didn't go with the bronze. So I'm just using a piece of cut and dry foam, and I'm just stamping on these letters. Now you'll notice that I arranged it going up the side of it. This is something that I've done for a couple pages now. I don't know why I suddenly decide. This one was just simply not going to fit going the other way because of how the turtle was placed. And I was going to cut it smaller, and then all of a sudden I realized, oh, I could do it this way. So sometimes really change it up. Try something different. So you saw me using a ruler, and I used my Stabilo all pencil white just to draw a line so that I get these letters fairly straight. Then you will see me take a wet baby wipe, and erase it because the Stabilo all pencil is water soluble. So you could do the same thing with a watercolor pencil if you want. You could also just leave the ruler there and kind of line it up to the ruler. You'll notice that these letters are fairly big, And it's fun to play around with the size. I find sometimes I get a lot of interesting pages when I make the font bigger. And I applied the turtle and the word with gel medium, matte. And there I'm erasing the Stabilo oil pencil, which, because the background is all acrylic, doesn't hinder anything. So I'm using the Stabilo oil pencil, the black one, and I'm going around the sea turtle. And I'm going to activate this with water on a small round brush. Just shade so the turtle looks like it's a little standing out from the background. I really like how this page ended up. It reminds me of some of these inspirational posters that you see, perseverance, teamwork. It just kind of reminded me of that. And I'm kind of adding more water just to make the black go out and not just be right around the sea turtle. Just adding a little bit more black here and there. Now that certain things are covered, no room on that side, too much texture to sign my name, so I'm going to sign on the other side. So again, here's the finished page with the color wheel showing the analogous color scheme that I used. And some close-ups of the texture and the paint. And despite having a line, I still managed to get the word crooked. There's the finished page that, is kind of a happy accident in so many ways, because I did not have a solid plan of using the turtle here, but it all worked really well. I love the close-ups of the paint and the texture. It just is so yummy. So I definitely will be using more tags, and I will be collecting them and maybe asking my neighbors to save them for me. I really enjoyed using it. Thank you, Marta. And if you want to check out her site, Maramy Small Art on YouTube, she is absolutely wonderful. Take time to hit the subscribe button. And as always, thank you to those of you who have subscribed, and thank you for watching. Please share, comment, and give me a thumbs up.